Alright guys, so here we are working away on day number 2, and of course I screwed up yesterday, and so I had to make some changes. So, let's see, where do we start here? Alright, so first thing I did is I had stuck a board in here 1 inch by 1 inch to fill this in, and for some reason I was thinking my flange on my window was going to fit past that. Don't ask me why, I just which of course I discovered I wasn't going to. And then the other thing was, as you can see, I also had to come up higher on here to get the flange fit. But even with coming up higher here and figuring I can lift the window up, I still could not get the flange to fit past that bottom plate of the old window frame. And if you remember, it used to come out to about here. It used to stick out to about there. So I was wondering as to whether I should just cut it to make it even with this or not, but I said, and I gave her a little tug, and guess what? It just fell right out of there. It wasn't even nailed in, so I just said, okay, we'll take it out, and I'll just put this board in. Made it a little bit easier for me. So with that, one of the things is that if you're going to put a window in, an existing hole, you got to go at least ½ inch longer and ½ inch taller than the window is that you're putting in. So give you a bit of that guideline to go with. I got a couple issues here. I don't know if I mentioned yesterday, but as you can see, the stud's here, and here's the drywall. So they ran the drywall like 1.5 inches past the stud to match up with the window. So when I measured for my windows, like inside the house, you take the trim off that goes around the window, and then you can see the window frame. So I measured, and the window frame went from here to here. So I measured went from there to there for my windows, and it turns out it's not. It's because the 2x4 is not here. You just assume it is because it should be nailed to that, but it wasn't. So that kind of made a little bit of a screw up, but not too much to deal with. Another thing I want to point out here is I'll move this, and as you can see, this is the original framing of the window. When you build the house, this is the original board here, and as you can see, why they ran their boarding up past the board instead of cutting it even with it is beyond me. It should be even, and their way of fixing it was just to throw in some material in here to suck up the space. Now I'm not too sure if I actually want to. It's going to make a hell of a mess to turn around and cut that down the way it should be, but I'll decide that a little bit later. And then we got one other issue now that I come across, is that this top plate, as you can see how it moves, is not nailed in anymore. I figure they said the windows that were in here were like 70s style sliders, so when they put those windows in, it looks like what they did is stuck those windows frames in and then just dropped this on top of it and left it there. And they didn't bother nailing it in, and as you can see, either end is not nailed. And it's a double plate, so I'm going to hopefully, what I'm going to try and do is put a couple screws in it and try on that side to tighten her up, and if it screws it up too much, well then I'll have to take the drywall off inside and try and fix it properly, but I'm hoping to avoid doing that one. That is for sure. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and stick those screws in. And we'll give that a whirl and see what happens. Oh, I got my drill plugged in. I knew I shouldn't have used that head. This bit. Alright. Oh, this bit's done. some screws in here. There we go. Better already. Oh, come on. Keep flipping it into reverse. Oops. Put the camera again. Oh, come on. This is going to be an awkward one to do. So, I'm going to go on an angle sometimes. The easiest way to do it, get yourself a hole started and then angle her. Just in a that's about as best I'm getting on this angle. Can't get enough pressure on it. But that'll work now anyways. At least that's nice and solid. Hopefully didn't take her out too crooked. Should be that nail flush now. Alright, so next little thing I'm gonna do before putting the window in. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take this, cut this back to the studs here like it should be, top, bottom. I still haven't decided on that one yet. Yeah. So this being drywall, when I did my front bedroom, I re-drywalled it and mudded it, and you know, I had the door shut and I had put tails at the bottom and everything to keep the dust in there, and it coated everything in my living room with that dust. So one way you can avoid that is by using a vacuum. You know, if you're mudding and you're sanding, you can actually buy pads now that have holes in the center you hook to your vacuum. It sucks the dust as you're sanding. If you don't want to do that, then you can just use a shop vac, like what I'm going to do here, and you can hold it there and while you go along, and it gets most of the dust. Also, if you're going to use your shop vac, as I'm going to do here, make sure you get a fine filter for it. If you use a regular filter, the dust can screw your vac up. Come on. What I'm trying not to do is cut the wood. Oh yeah, safe. Great. Okay, so I'm back. Got a little bite to eat there. Not quite sure where I left off. But you know, we got our window in. You know, I managed to get 3 nails in there going on an angle. I can't get any in the bottom. You know, the window hole itself is not square, which will be apparent from the inside. And you can also see here, you can see the stucco actually goes like this. Yeah. You know, but I'm not going to rip the stucco off and the whole wall damn near apart to fix it, to square it up, right? So So as you can see in here, you can see she's tighter up here than it is down here. So you can see that she's not square. The window's square. I know that. So one of the things is, like I said, if you remember, see, this is how the drywall should have been. This is where the stud should have been. So remember, this was out 1.5 inches, the drywall. So when I measured, because your window frame would be here, and you can see the window frame when you take that trim off. So I measured from that to that, thinking the 2x4 was there. In actuality, like I say, this side was out about 1.5 inches. This side was out 1/2 inch. So I got the wrong size window for this. So my suggestion would be, if you're doing a house, changing the window then to actually take your old window out first. Get your measurements and then cover the hole with plastic if you have to, or you know, if you can, slide the old one back in until you get your new one. At least in that way you get exactly what you need. You know, this, like I said, the window frame itself ain't square. I'm not taking the stucco down and all that crap to fix it. You know, so what I could have done, if I had taken the window out, I would have caught the differences there on the edge. That wasn't the size. I could have got a slightly smaller window so that I could square it up in the hole properly without the framing being squared right and doing what I did here, just, you know, by putting pieces in to frame it up. But anyways, it's in, you know, as you can see, it's fairly solid. It's not going to go anywhere. I got that in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this insulation and I'm going to stuff it down all the way around the window, all over the place. And then what I'll do is, because this is the other thing, see this window, this is for 2x4 wall. So this edging should actually be out here with the drywall. Okay. And the only way to do that, of course, is if I take the siding off. And I'm not going to do that because the siding's on, of course, the stud here, and if I cut it, I have to cut it, you know, and it won't be on the stud anymore in order for the window to fit properly. And then, well, now you're getting into having to take stucco down and all that nifty stuff, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll stuff this all with insulation, which you do with windows anyways, right? That's stop your draft. And then what I'll do is I'll make a strip that's going to sit just along this edge, you know, just inside, maybe 1/4 inch or something past the window there, to fill this space in. All right, and that'll make her look nice. Of course, this is going to be too thick, isn't it? This is Roxol insulation. Very nice stuff to work with because it's you know, it's not like pink insulation. It's not a fiberglass, so it doesn't make you itchy as hell. And it's actually real warm. I had this stuff left over from when I did my front room, so use it for in here. Alright, so it's a little thinner there. There we go. Right. Just cram her into the hole the best you can. Make sure you get it all the way up to the front. Alright, that's the idea, is to fill it with insulation. That was the other thing that I was quite surprised about with these windows in this house, was that the windows, I mean, basically they put some of these newer windows in, and then they had this, and what they did, like at the front, you know, you'd have your gap in here, the window is, they put a piece of trim across the front of this and then caulked it. That was it. They didn't fill it with insulation. So of course that leaves for nice draft. You know, in winter time you can, very cold in here. And I had when I first winter that I had the house, I was paying about $400 a month in the winter time for heating this place. The furnace was almost always on. So then that summer, what I did is I started, well, be the front corner up over there with that window on the outside on the side. I did that one, the bathroom one, that one there. There's actually 2 in the laundry room. At the 2 in the bedroom, this kitchen window and that kitchen window. And I just went around and I took the fascia boards off, or the fascia boards, took the trim boards off, and that's how I discovered all these holes around the windows like that. But once I had them taken off, I then I filled the holes, and then I put the boards back on, caulked them, after stripping them, painted them up. And that winter, I was paying about $200 in the winter time for heat. So that just shows you how much heat loss there is when you have these big gaps around your window. They're not filled in. I'm not sure will he fit in here. Nope. I gotta get my square. Oh, actually, this guy will probably fit in there, won't he? Oh yeah, he'll fit in there. Right, so just want to make sure she's packed right up against the wall, right? Fill this in with insulation. It makes a huge difference on your heating, that's for sure. Okay, so we got a little tight up top there because of course it gets smaller. So keep it. Oh yeah, the screws on the window get in the way. Okay, so I just use the ruler end. Oops. Anything you can use to make sure it gets pushed in up against the boards, right? And like I said, I'm gonna put a trim board in here, so I'll fill that up in with insulation all the way around, and then I'll get that little piece of trim board on there. It was a trim board. When I put it in, I'll just Bradley it probably to the stripping that they put in here. Now, I'm not too sure about this up here. As you can see, they didn't bother putting a strip piece in up there for that. So maybe I'll cut a piece for that because I don't like that. So I'll probably do that, cut a piece for that, so that when you put your trim around the window, you got something to nail it to. Alright, so I'll go ahead and get this all filled with insulation and get my trim boards on, and once I get that, we'll be back. Alright, well, I'll get out for now.